Ooh, that's weird. No, I can't videotape you. So here's...
Did you start the recording?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Because I'm ready. This is it. This is the thing. Shane. Reminder, you should still do the thing where you describe the story of games, except do it high with, like, key points to talk about. Profit. I think that's a Cards Against Humanity reference. I think it's a, step 3, profit. I said, okay, I'll start tonight. He goes, 10 out of 10. Love you, baby. And I sent him a smoochy face, because we're fucking weird like that. And he talks about the DS all this time. We bullshit about the day. He sent me some music I need to listen to. So, that was in reference to D&D. He wants me to get blitzed out of my mind and then talk about D&D and start a podcast kind of thing based on that. I already described this to you.
Yeah, but now you're describing it to the people.
I don't like... It's better when you don't know it's there. I like it. I played better when I knew you, or I thought you weren't recording me. Yeah. I was just able just to play my damn songs, laugh at myself, and then go to bed. Normal person. So yeah, it's the idea that I'll get really high and I'll talk about these like big, theory fucking world building tabletops, I have so many stories too, and that's the thing is like when you join the military, all you talk about is high school, because that's like the thing that you have. It's like I was in the military so long that like all I could talk about was the military. Like, well, what about high school? It's okay, whatever. But this shit was crazy. Like, it was all more recent stories. But in the midst of all that, being, where I'm at today, and then in the military, and even before the military, it was always D&D. There was always Dungeons and Dragons. It started as Shadowrun, and then went to Dungeons and Dragons. Other people played Pathfinder, and it's like, whatever. So what was that question Kenny wanted me to...
What is D&D?
What is D&D? It's really hard to stay on topic. Okay, so I have to... Because you know D&D.
Yep.
And you probably have a different interpretation of what D&D is than I do.
Maybe.
To an extent, I would say. Not necessarily even that I'm usually the DM and then you're the player. It's more the... I don't know. People get different things out of different stuff. Like, the Matrix, they'd be like, oh, when he does the thing, and someone's like, but he was the one. Like, he was the one the whole time. Like, people get focused on different aspects of the same thing. So in the same representation of that, music, I mean, it's... everyone gets something different out of it. And in the same way, D&D is like an art form. It's like a song that you write with your friends. So, yeah, that's a weird way of looking at it. What was the question again? Give me this.
What is D&D?
Yeah. D&D is a story that you write with your friends. D&D is a story that you write with your friends. The DM narrates it. His only job is to tell you what happens, make you do rolls. You get to do anything you want. You can say anything you want. You can do anything you want. But there are consequences, good and bad, based on what you do. Just because you do something good doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a bad consequence. But doing something bad doesn't mean it's going to end up good. Or it's going to end up bad. Who knows? It's all based on the rolls. And this system that basically puts a number on everything. D&D is probably one of the most racist games I've ever played. Like, not like American Western culture, like what people think racism is and stuff like that. Like, D&D's like, fuck elves. What? You can't say that. I'm a dwarf, goddammit. Fuck elves. Like, there's this like racial hate and this racial tension in between all the different races, but it's so widely accepted, you know. Hey, why is that fucking, barbarian half orc in town? Like, what the fuck? It's like, dude, that's an adventurer. Oh, all right, whatever. Like adventurers, which is what you play, are the ones who create the story. You can try to play them a certain way, but they always kind of have a character of their own. I'm getting really deep into this. I'm still trying to explain what D&D is to people, and I'm talking about like what I get out of D&D. So D&D is a story that you write with your friends. In a video game, like this is a good place to start for people who are trying to understand games, right? In a video game, you'll have a controller, and that controller allows you to move your character a certain speed that is all programmed out, and it has all this like accountability issues and all that stuff. So you can aim a gun and shoot another person, and you get points. In D&D, there are no points. It's like more experience. It's like, oh, because you did this, you become stronger. That kind of thing. It's not really meant to be looked at as, oh, I got 5,000 points, I'm level 6. Like, it's not meant to be like that. It's just meant to be, your wizard has slayed the orc of the north and, conquered a hill giant wandering too far from the spine of the world. And
it's their reputation.
Yeah, it's like, how I used to know 3 spells? Now I know 8. What the fuck, right? Like, what's up? I'm so cool. Like, so it's in-game, there is no such thing as experience points. In-game, there is no such thing as, breaking the fourth wall. You don't have any Deadpool moments. Like, it's not a thing. So people will often say, out of game, fucking this, that, and whatever. I used to have this rule as a DM where it was like, when you said something at the table, I took it as though your character literally said that in game. So NPCs, like not players, because they can choose to do whatever they want, but as NPCs and all these other characters that I was playing there, the guy who was giving them the quest or whatever, he would like react to what they said. So he would, roll a insight check, and he goes, I want to see if this bartender's like fucking me over or what. And he rolled like really good. And it's like, okay, so you're pretty good at judging a face. You're pretty good at, taking things at face value. It seems to you like he's not trying to undermine you or do anything, but you do notice part of his shirt is like ripped or something like that, and there was a scuffle and he had a bruise. And he saw his wife was like pacing in the back room, and it looked like he was like constantly checking over her shoulder to make sure she was okay. So you would imagine there was some kind of altercation between him and his wife that he's not wanting to tell you about. So that's insight, right? Like it's like, boom, ton of information, here you go, do whatever you want with it. So then he goes, oh, fuck this guy, he sounds like an asshole. And I'm like, okay, roll initiative. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, he just said this guy seems like an, And everyone's like, what the fuck? Nah, like, So they're all rolling for initiative, and he's like, I just want the mission. I don't care what's going on with you and your wife. And he's like, how do you know my wife? Like, fuck it. So he was, anything can happen in D&D. Anything can happen on a tabletop RPG. A video game will always have, like, as much as I love, like, Mass Effect and, all these other games where you get all these multiple choices and stuff like that. And Dragon Age. Well, it's the same guys. It'd be like, well, Witcher. Let's say Witcher. But there's not many companies that do it, Like Heavy Rain, Being Human, I want to play that new one that's coming out. It's all based on choice and cause and effect. So you may do right or wrong, and then there are outcomes that, it messes with in the future. So you get to choose how you want to play in the very beginning, but that isn't necessarily who you become or who you are. If that makes any sense, it's weird. So, a story that you write with your friends where you design the main character. And you pray to the gods that he doesn't roll a 1, because then you die. Now, not every time do you roll a 1 you get a die. That was another thing. I remember getting asked about, what's a natural 20? And it's like, oh my god, like, you don't even deserve to know what that means. Like, there's a lot of pride. Like, people who play tabletops, this used to be, well, here, let's do this. This used to be something that was prestigious, and something that a lot of cool kids did, and something that was very open and awesome and new. And then after the 70s, you know, like when this game was born, when this game was designed back in the 70s, dude, like folklore and fantasy was on the fucking rise, man. Like it was a big deal. Like I dare you to name me a parent who hadn't heard of The Hobbit, who hadn't read the book The Hobbit or had it read to them. You know, J.R. Tolkien was a big deal. C.S. Lewis, he was a big fucking deal. And for the first time, someone found out a way to incorporate this fantasy type world into a set of rules and boundaries that let you really do whatever you want to do with your friends. Like, the concept is absolutely mind blowing. Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, read a book. Jesus Christ. Like, the imagination is a very powerful thing. And, you know, and what did it appeal to most? Well, the youth. You know, it absolutely ravaged the youth. And then some asshole took acid and fucking stabbed a dude with a sword, and he's like, in the name of Orcus. Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. All I know is that when I was still a teenager, when I got into it, there was people who heard about me playing D&D, and there was like, hey, I don't agree with that. I wouldn't have that in my house. Like, fucking, you know, like this, like, anger towards it. And I didn't understand. I was like, it's fantasy. There's demons in them, and you kill them, and you're the good guy. Like, it's, you know, I couldn't understand. Like, I didn't understand why people hated D&D so much, and it was like whispered. Like nobody talked about it. It was so like nobody played it out in the open. And then, you know, in high school, me being a fucking blabbermouth I'm like, D&D is like the coolest game I've ever played, and I got like everybody into it. Yeah, I was a fucking rebel, man. So, yeah, I joined the military. Kettle and me made a pact, as you do when you're deployed with a brother in arms. And I was from Oregon, he was from Colorado. We had a bit in common. So, yeah, we made this pact. It was like that truth or dare game. It was like, you know, tell me something that nobody else knows that you're embarrassed about. And it's like, oh, dude. So, you play Call of Duty? Yeah, I play Call of Duty. Cool. So I'm a little nerdier than that. Like what? You know, do you play MMOs? Yeah, I play MMOs. Okay, it's a little nerdier than that. Well, what's more fucking nerdy than, like, Monopoly? Like, fucking... It's like, no, I play D&D. Me too! I'm like, ah! Fucking... So we made this pact where we were going to go back and in Arkansas and play D&D for the first time together. And we played 4th edition. That's how we ran into Cliff. Yeah. Cool dude. I miss that dude. But yeah, fuck, and like even then I was trying to figure out what it was, because before then I was just a teenager. I had a monster manual, a DMG, and a player's handbook that this cool dude had given me, John. And you know, I read through the books. I didn't understand a fucking thing that they were saying. Like, when it came to the math, I, like, flip a few pages. Like, let's just get to the story. Just tell me what the monster does, and I'll decide, like, how to fucking kill these people, you know? But yeah, I loved it, and the monster manual was so cool. Like, we would just flip page through page, and just, like, you know, I'd randomly open it up, and I'd be like, you run into this, fucking, how'd it get there? That's a good question. And they would start investigating, and it would, like, lead to this whole, like, backstory of this creature that was, you know, created by this evil wizard in the Underdark and sent it up to the, you know, surface and yada yada yada. Like, all this stuff, like, one thing led to another, you know. And yeah, we didn't really care about the rules back then. The rules were really loose. 4th edition, man, there's a lot of rules. Dude, I just want to run over there and fucking stab the dude. Which power would you like to use? It's like, motherfucker, like, I stab him with the sword. Well, you're not going to do max damage if you do it that way. I'm like, I'm not trying to do max damage. Like, you know, it was so weird, because it was like, they built 4th edition like an MMO, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But it was D&D. So I was like, fuck it, you know, I'll play it. It's whatever. I prefer 3.5. That's why I told everybody I knew. I prefer 3.5, but I'll play 4. And then 5th came out. Oh. And then 5th edition came out. So, they went back to their roots as a game. And they created this beautiful thing where it went back to What's your character's name? Kargoth of Barbaria. Like, okay, Kargoth's thinking to himself, what do I want to do? I look around. Okay, bodies laying here. You know, it's fucking, it wasn't that in depth, but it got back to that, what would you like to do? You can do anything you want. There's no boundaries. The only boundaries you have are the stats on your sheet. You know? What is D&D? Fuck, man. An experience. A way of life. A community. A bunch of friends who get together every week. Let's be honest, I wouldn't have kept in touch with half the people I did if it wasn't for D&D. Or Shadowrun. That was a thing in Guam. That was some of the greatest experiences I ever had. Yeah. A dude from Combat Com playing Shadowrun. Who'd have thought? Yeah. I don't know, what do you think D&D is?
I'm with you. It's a story.
Yeah.
You have the narrator or the DM. Oh, goody.
Ha!
Hello.
How do you like it?
But yeah, you have it's a story where the narrator, aka the DM, describes the setting and the background and the characters and all of that. And then you got the individual players who are playing the main characters who form up this
Party.
Yep.
It's a party!
Yeah.
All treats.
No tricks, just all treats.
Yeah. Demogorgon. Get him, Francis. I'm a barbarian. Rawr. He's a little gnome. I love that. That was the greatest thing to ever come out of 4th edition. Was that little gnome. I loved gnomes in 4th edition. What the fuck happened to them? Like, they're not bad. Alright, they're not bad. It's fine. I like them. But, dude, they used to be the little tricksters, the witty little fucks. Like, they were like the... Like, they could be mistaken for, like, little woodlings, you know? Like kookery kids off Legend of Zelda. Like, little tricksy fucks. And now it's like... I don't know, they're hobbits now. And I'm like,
No,
dude,
that's
fuck
the
hobbits.
halflings.
Yeah, like, fuck hobbits, man.
The halflings
Yeah,
are the hobbits.
halflings are cool. I mean, you know, they're talkers. They're really good talkers, halflings are. And that's cool. But gnomes, man, they're from the Fae. They know how to party. They're really cool. So, yeah. Well, if that doesn't help describe what D&D is, I don't know what will. This is really hard to do high. I get sidetracked all the time.
You get sidetracked when you're not high.
I get sidetracked when I'm not high, but at least I finish my point.
I think you finished your point.
Yeah. These are the planes of existence. Ugh. And I don't know all of them. Alright, so there's the inner planes and outer
Yeah, but
planes.
that could be another episode.
That could be another episode. Then you have to talk about the Feywild and the Shadowfell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stranger Things. Oh my god, I watched Stranger Things and I was like, the Upside Down world is the fucking Shadowfell. Like, oh my god. The references in there were amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, they need to hurry up and get season 3 out.
Yeah, this has been the high road.
This... So instead of the Forgotten Realms, the High Realms. Oh god, I hope this never goes online. Here.